Is that my cue to begin?
Yes, that was your cue to begin the session.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Thao Gabathusi. I am the IT sales manager here at Cellulant Botswana. I think I should start a video. Just give me a second. So everybody can just see my face. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, so just a brief background on myself. I am the IT sales manager here at Cellulant Botswana. I've been doing sales for almost 10 years now. I may be 27, but I've been doing it for a long time. I realized that it was a passion of mine when I was still back in college, and I decided to chase my dreams, and here I am. I've been with Cellulant for the past 12 to 13 months, and I've been chosen today to basically run a mentorship program centered around the topic of creating and writing proposals. Excuse me, I have a dog in the yard, so you might hear a little bit of barking here and there during my presentation. This is Africa. I mean, we can't escape it. Just let me give me a second to share my screen with you so I can start my presentation. Hey guys, it says that I'm not able to share my screen. Please assist. Rita?
Hi, Thao. Actually, this is Beryl. Are you unable to share your screen?
Yes, it says that the host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, let me just work on that. Maybe you can continue as I work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so today's topic is how to write a proposal. And I think every time we try to learn how to do something, it's important for us to also gain an understanding of what it is to begin with, which is where our conversation will start. For me, a proposal is basically a business document that's used to secure some kind of work. Either you're providing a service or a product, or you are basically participating in some kind of project that a certain business is starting. You can consider or see it as a sales pitch on paper, and it's usually sent from one business to another in response to a service or project or a product that's required. And there are two main types of business proposals. A business proposal can either be solicited or unsolicited. And your proposal in both situations should outline your service or your product and explain your intended approach. And it should also include a brief cost estimate in there. The idea is to sell yourself in this situation and thoroughly explain why you are the best choice of a pool of competitors. Rita?
Yes.
Any luck?
Yes. No, you're able to.
Again?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay, let me just put it on slideshow then. Okay. So like I said, for me, it's basically used to secure work, and the idea here is to sell yourself and thoroughly explain why you are the best choice from a pool of competitors. Like I had mentioned before, there are two main types of business proposals, and it's important for us to understand the different types and what are the differences between, and how they differentiate from one another. So between unsolicited and solicited proposals, a solicited proposal comes in the form usually comes in the form of an RFQ, or in if you want to say it in long terms, we would call it a request for proposal. Oh, I'm sorry for the typo there. And this request for proposal can either come in an official format as a direct invitation from one business to another, or an advertisement on mediums such as newspapers, or it can also be an informal request for proposal that happens after a cold pitch call, and the client then expresses that they would like to see a proposal from you. And the like. So it's used to respond to a prospect's specific requirement. Usually comes with clear guidelines to follow. These guidelines are usually centered around the specific requirements for the solution that will be required, the formatting of the proposal, and also what decision criteria will be used to pick the best of the pool. And the thing with these particular types of proposals is that they're usually limited to previously outlined scope that's determined by the customer. And you're most likely to have competition because, like I said, these will usually come in the form of invitations. If they came as a direct invitation, you are more often than not not the only person that was invited. It can come in the form of newspapers. So with that situation, all of the competitors in the landscape get a chance to put in that bid. So more often than not, you're likely to have some kind of competition with this kind of proposal. With unsolicited proposals, these are sent out without a specific request for a proposal from the prospect. They, to me, are one of the most powerful marketing tools. We usually use them to attempt to generate sales. So you can call them, I would look at them as cold calling, but in the form of a document. With this particular type of proposal, there's a lot more work to do, and it's a lot more difficult to write up, but to me, a lot more fulfilling. It's up to you to do extensive research on the prospect, and just give me a second. How do I hide this? Okay, great. It's up to you to do research on the prospect and demonstrate your intended value in a persuasive manner. Like I said, this is kind of like cold calling, but in the form of the document. So you are depending on your written word to basically persuade a reader to do business with you. It allows you to carefully consider the prospect's challenges and concerns and address them directly. For me, this is particularly important because as people in the sales, in the commercial industry, we usually have experience from working with multiple kinds of businesses in multiple kinds of industries. And from that, we're able to collect a certain level of expertise and experience with working with all of these kinds of businesses and understanding their landscapes, their challenges, their pain points, how they have previously solved solutions or problems that are similar to the one that this client might particularly have. And in this experience and exposure, it puts us in a position whereby we are better in a position to outline exactly what the customer needs, and also a scope that better serves the customer and ourselves as well. And another thing that I like about these particular kinds of proposals is more often than not, there isn't any competition until there comes a time where the purchasing starts, depending on the entity that you're working with. If it's a government entity, they will probably, regardless of whether you solicited them in the beginning, if they do decide to make a purchase for the service or this product that you have proposed, they will usually follow a public procurement process that will require them to either invite other entities there or not. And with private organizations, you are usually able to get direct sales from that situation, which is where my favorite part is. So do we have any questions so far? I know I'm a fast speaker, so I would like to take this time to acknowledge any questions on the floor. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, so we're going to look at the structure of a business proposal. What exactly should a business proposal entail? So for me, like I had mentioned, sending out unsolicited proposals provides, providing that these are well researched and offer a creative solution to your clients, can be an extremely effective sales tactic. It should include, of course, a title or a cover page, a table of contents, depending on how long your proposal is. I prefer to do this regardless of how long it is, because it just creates a structure that the reader can follow without having to look for to scroll through the entire document to look for specific aspects of it that they want to see. And then a very important aspect for me in the proposal is what we call the executive summary. I will go into more detail on what exactly this is and what it should entail and shouldn't as we go along with the proposal. And a brief, some company information in there is also beneficial in selling. It's also important to include some case studies or testimonials or references that are relevant to this particular customer to create a level of relatability and to show how you have previously been able to basically take care of other customers such as themselves in the same landscape. It's also very important in a proposal to acknowledge what the problem is that you are about to solve in the first place. And then another important aspect of the proposal for me is the value proposition or the proposed solution. I will also go into more detail on that one as we go along the presentation. It's also important to outline your approach to the solution. What are the deliverables that the customer should expect from you? And also mention a bit of the timeline in there. And a very important and crucial aspect of the proposal would be pricing. Between the executive summary and pricing, I think to me, these are some of the main two areas of a proposal that the customer will read. And then also the terms and conditions. So I'm going to take you through a list of questions that you should ask yourself when you are carrying out the research that is required in order to write an unsolicited proposal. So Albert Einstein once said that if he had an hour to solve a problem and his life depended on it, he would use 55 minutes determining proper questions to ask. This kind of displays why it's important for you to have a list of questions to make sure that you have covered everything that you need to cover. You need to know who the prospect is in order for you to know what they need and in order for you to express your value to them. You need to understand who the prospect is, and in that you need to know what that trade is in, who that target market is in terms of that age range, that geographical and economic demographics. How do they engage with this with the prospect, and any challenges that the users might be facing in this engagement. You also need to understand what their values are and objectives as a business, what their turnover is, because it's nice to know, how large the business is, which also helps you determine how large your opportunity is if you were to work with them. It's also very important for me to understand the customers or the prospect's core processes and the members of their value chain. Understanding the core process can assist you in deriving the challenges that the customer may be facing, regardless of whether they're able to communicate those challenges to you or not. More often than not, a client will have been facing a challenge for so long that they become comfortable with whatever pain that this challenge causes, and won't outright say to you that this is a challenge that they want to address until you gain an understanding of that process and identify that that's a challenge in your own capacity, express it to them in your own words, and show them how solving that problem will change that business in the future. You also, it's important for you to understand those challenges that they face with that process and the challenges that they face while engaging with the value chain members. And it's very important, I think, to know who the decision makers are in order for you to know who to build the relationships with in your selling process and in your selling journey. And it puts you in a position where you are able to control the narrative more. It's also important to know who your competitors are in this particular opportunity. How many members are in the competitive landscape? What products and services do they offer to the market? What's their share of the market? What are their competitive advantages and disadvantages? This will allow you to basically, take advantage of the situation, because if you have a clear understanding of your competitors, you know what their weaknesses are, you know what their strengths are, then you know how and when to play with the situation. And it's also important for you to know the pricing structure of the market, so you can also price your products and services in a way that is competitive and desirable to the market. So the executive summary for me, like I said, is a very important aspect of the proposal. This can make the difference between your proposal ending up in the decision maker's hands or in the recycle bin. See it as an elevator on paper. You have about a page or 2 pages maximum, depending on the depth of the proposal, to write your elevator pitch. And I know the word or the name can be a little bit confusing to some, but basically an executive summary is not meant to summarize whatever it is that you have written in the proposal. Instead, it's meant to sell yourself in as little time and in as brief words as possible. It needs to be persuasive, and it needs to highlight the benefits of your company, your product, or your service, rather than being descriptive and focusing on the features. The reason why your executive summary is so important and why it needs to be persuasive is that more often than not, the reality on the ground is you can spend a week preparing a proposal for a customer, finding the right words to use, putting all of the graphics that are required. But the customer or the reader is probably only going to read your executive summary and then jump straight to your pricing, which is why you need to find a way to sell yourself as efficiently as possible in one page. It needs to capture the reader's attention and pique their interest, and basically put them in a position where they want to know more about what it is that you claim to offer to them. And it helps the prospect decide quickly whether they're going to read the rest of the proposal, or if they're going to pass it on to other decision makers, or, like I said, if it ends up in the bin. So you need to make sure that you start strong. And the perfect way to start strong with an executive summary is to focus on the prospect and not on yourself. You need to focus on the issue and the result, all while being direct and invocative in your approach. You need to, your statements, your opening lines need to invoke certain feelings in the reader that makes them trust you, that creates a level of relatability and makes them feel like you might be the solution to that problem. And you also can establish relatability and trust by displaying your understanding and your grasp of the situation. Nothing says someone cares or someone knows what they're doing more than who comes and tells you about themselves, when you had never expressed any of that information to them. It tells you how serious they are about what they're doing. It tells you how serious they are about solving. It shows you the groundwork that they have done in an attempt to understand you as a business. You could do this by including a piece of the research that I had just mentioned, or a piece of or a little bit of the experience that you have had while dealing with a similar situation that the prospect might be going through. It's also important because it explains how the prospect will benefit from solving the problem and achieving the objective. It's also important to briefly mention in there how the solution, and how it will work for them specifically. And also remember, a little flattery goes a long way. So it's important to throw in a few sentences about how amazing that product may be, or that service, or the fact that they are a market leader, something that will make the reader feel good about themselves when they read the proposal, before you come in with the challenges that they are facing and how you can solve them. And also make sure you always avoid jargon or overly technical words, because you never know where the proposal starts in terms of who reads it and who gets to pass it on. So it's important to use as plain English as possible and put your proposal in words that any person can come and read and understand. Any questions?
What's the standard length of the executive summary?
So depending on how in-depth your proposal is or how long it should be about 1 page or 2 pages maximum.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, Thao, for that informative session so far. I found every single statement important and valid for me. Thank you so much. Just to follow up with what Lillian has asked, we are both Lillians. In terms of the length of the entire proposal, you mentioned that it differs. It could be a short one, it could be a long one. But how long is too long for a proposal?
It depends. So if it's a solicited proposal, like I said, that one you are provided with requirements and everything. So those are usually the ones that are long, because the client will give you 10, like a simple requirement, like addressing the requirements one by one. They'll give you, like, for example, a table, and they will have listed all of their requirements, and they have like 50 requirements for a system. And you will spend 5 pages just ticking on which ones you can address and which ones you can't. But they will usually, I've seen proposals that are as large as 100 pages. This is mainly because, I mean, not particularly in the fintech space, because I used to work in the ERP space. So I used to sell ERP solutions like Oracle, NetSuite, SAP. So with those kind of proposals, we could go as large as 100 pages. I've seen proposals that big. But in the fintech space, I think 20 pages is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, fintech isn't complicated as the list of requirements and features isn't as long. So for me, 20 pages, that's usually how long my proposals are.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Of Cellulant profiles and the like. If you were to remove all of that, 10 pages should be enough, 10 to 15.
Okay, so my last question, how do you strike a balance of not talking too much about yourself and focusing on them, but again not losing exactly what you want to, into quotes, brag about what you're all about? I don't know if my question is clear.
I think it is. I think that's a challenge that I also sometimes face. I mean, you usually face that challenge when you are a company like Cellulant, where we've done so many amazing things. So you have a lot to post about. But I think this is where value-based selling comes in, where you, and also solution-based selling rather than product-based selling. I think that's where kind of the balance comes in, because you understand that you are selling more of the value that you bring to the business rather than yourself as a business. Okay. So when you have that in mind at all times, it's much more easy for you to maintain that balance. I would give, you in a proposal, you give 80% to the customer and 20% to yourself. That's the ratio that I use.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Shall I proceed to the value proposition aspect? I'll take that as a yes too. Okay, so typically, if you were just to Google the structure of a proposal, they're not usually going to include a value proposition in there because they will, most people will find a way to maybe sneak it into the executive summary and the like. But I like to give the value proposition a special section of attention in a proposal. For me, the value proposition gets to tell the prospect why they should do business with me rather than all of the competitors in the landscape. And it allows me to make the benefits of my services or my products to the business crystal clear. I think to me, the value proposition has to be, the most important element of your overall marketing and sales information that you exchange with customers. I'm going to give you an example below there of a value proposition, a simple value proposition of a disruptor such as ourselves, which is Uber. So it's really simple and straight to the point. Tap the app, get a ride. Uber is the smartest way to get around. One tap and a car comes directly to you, and your driver knows exactly where to go, and payment is completely cashless. So in this short statement, this is Uber's value proposition. And Uber found a way to highlight everything that sucks about taking a traditional taxi and point out how their service is superior as compared to that, without directly coming right out and saying taxis suck. To me, these are the best kinds of proposals because the thing with sales is you need to find a way to be tricky with your words and plant ideas in the mind of the user, or of the merchant or the prospect. Because here's the thing with prospects, they don't like to feel like they are being sold to. They like to feel like they made the choice to buy. So that is kind of where value propositions come in. They plant an idea in the prospect's mind and give them the opportunity to make a decision, rather than coming in and basically kind of telling them what to do. For me, those are the simplest types of value propositions, and these are the ones that get the best results. Any questions?
Hi, Thao.
Yes.
Not to ask a question, but to add on what you just said. So in other words, you're saying that a value proposition is all about being persuasive, right?
I mean, the executive summary is about being persuasive. The value proposition is about expressing why you are the best, why your solution is the best, in the most modest way.
Okay, all right. That's noted.
Because, that value proposition can be broken down into three. Uber is the smartest way to get around. One tap and a car comes directly to you. So that expresses the convenience that Uber provides to the user, right? All you have to do is pick up your phone and the car comes directly to where you are because of the features that Uber has for locations and the like, right? Your driver knows exactly where to go. You don't have situations whereby you are stuck on the phone trying to describe, trying to give a driver directions to where you're going, and also trying to get directions from other people and using different types of GPSs and features. Also, a third aspect of that value proposition is the fact that payments is completely cashless. As compared to having to fumble for cash or for coins in your bag at the end of your ride, or constantly being worried whether you have enough change to get taxis. None of that is ever a worry when you use a service like Uber.
Yeah, I think that's clear. Thank you for that input.
All right. I think we're coming to the end of the presentation for me. I mean, those are the two main important aspects of your proposal. This is your executive summary and your value proposition. Everything else can be adjusted. And also the pricing is important. I found this particular cartoon really funny because I wish this is as simple as pricing was. But thank you guys for your time this morning. I think that is the end of my presentation.
Hi, Thao.
Yes.
That was a very informative session. Thank you very much. I think we've all learned a thing or two that we're going to apply in probably all the future proposals that you're going to write, because we're always looking for money for our projects. So I think the other sessions that you also scheduled to have, probably 2 or 3 weeks from now, we are going to align with you on that email. And for everyone who attended, thank you very much. I think if you have any questions, maybe you can send them to me on email. I can as well forward this to Thao. And Thao, I don't know if you have the document, maybe you can send it to me on email. I can share with the rest of the team.
Okay, I can do that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.